Hey, we're here at the Excellent Car Mod Shop, and today what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the roof of the MK4 Jetta. I don't know if you guys have ever seen my MK4 Jetta. We'll be doing some more videos about that later on, but anyways, we're going to wrap this roof in gloss black. Okay, so stay tuned and I'll show you how to do it. All right, so the first thing you want to do is make sure your roof is really nice and clean. So what I do is I take like a damp rag or whatever, get the dirt off it. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to wrap over any kind of dirt or debris. All right. So once you do that, I use wax and grease remover. You can buy this at any automotive paint store or whatever. And I'm just going to wipe the whole roof down, just to get off any wax or any kind of bird crap or, you know, any kind of grease or anything like that. So I'm just going to do it real light. Wipe it down.
Do you want me to do this side or?
No. All right, go to the other side here. So we got that done. We're gonna let that dry real good. And if you notice in these grooves, like you can see over on this side, see here, these rubber strips go in here, okay? Well, anything you can take out that is gonna make it easier for you to overlap, because we want the vinyl to go underneath this so that you don't see any white. So what you want to do is take these off. These are real easy to come off. So I just yanked them off. All right, so we got it wiped down. Just gonna feel it real quick. Feel a couple little spots where there's feels like little bumps. So what else you can do that works good is you can just get a clay bar and clay your roof. A lot of guys do that to make sure there's nothing on there. What I'm going to do is I just got a piece of 1500 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to really light just go over it so that if there's any little thing sticking up, like dirt that's stuck to the roof or whatever, it's just going to knock it down a little bit better. I'm not like really sanding, I'm just dragging it over top. All right? And if you use something like 1500, when you take the vinyl back off the roof, if you decide to, the scratches will buff right out of your paint, so you don't have to worry about it. All right, this side real quick.
Do you got wax and grease remove that?
Yeah. All right, so I did that. I'm going to take my air gun real quick. Just gonna blew that off. And just one last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to grab a tack rag and just run over it real light. You can get these at, you know, like AutoZone or whatever. They're for painting. I'm just going to go over it. Get any last bits, any like dirt or whatever. Well, next thing we're going to do is mask off the windows, and the reason we're going to do that is because the vinyl won't stick to masking tape. So whenever we go over here, we're going to trim this eventually, but we want to have tape here so that when we bring the vinyl over, we can lift it back up without it like really sticking to the windshield, right? So I'll show you that next. All right, so I just got some of this green 3M automotive masking tape for like body work and stuff. Let me do it from the other side so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to go across here. And I'm going to go over here. All right. Like I said, all we're doing is making it so the vinyl, when it comes down on here, it won't stick. We're going to do it on the back too. All right. Okay. Let's open. Make sure the door's open all right. I'm having tape shut. Oh, you don't want to do this. You don't want to have your tape going onto the part that you're wrapping. You don't want to do that. All right. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the wrap onto the roof, and then George and I are going to pull the backing off of it. So the wrap that I'm using for this is Avery. I think it's S900 or S980 or whatever. It's air release film. I mean, it works great. It's really good for like beginners because it like stretches really easy. You can glass it out really easy. It's really easy to go around corners like this. I'll show you how to do that. But that's the stuff we're going to use, right? So me and George are going to grab it and then we'll get it on here. Because I don't want to pull it on that. It'll scratch the vinyl, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so what we're doing is we just basically laid the vinyl. Here, I'll show you. We put like a towel on the front and we just laid that on there because when we pull it, the roll is going to spin on there and we don't want to scratch the middle of the vinyl, right? So I put a towel or like a blanket. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull it up over the roof. There's creases in the middle.
Do you want me to hold it while you cut it?
Just hold on to it for 1 second. Hopefully that comes out. All right, so just hold on to that. So you want a little bit, make sure you go over the back. Here, let's pull it back a little more. Overspray on there. Okay. Okay, so we got that there. Now, hold on, hold it right there, George. All right, and if you get a kit, you'll get some of these magnets. So I'm going to just put the magnet there so that the vinyl doesn't move. Make sure we got enough. Okay. Get my cutter. We're gonna just go right along here. across, like right close to the roll. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to sit this out of the way. All right. Now what we got to do is we got to get the backing. Can you just throw that on the bench real quick? It's best to do this with two people because when you're pulling the backing off the paper, you don't want to see how there's like, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, probably not, but there's like some little things that like creases. When you pull the backing off the film, you got to make sure that the backing stays like as flat as possible, right? Because otherwise it'll crease, the paper will start wrinkling and it'll crease it. So let's
Where do you want to start? From the front?
Let's do the front. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna like lift it up and then we're gonna pull it and then we'll lay this down and then we'll remove the magnets and then pull it the rest of the way back, right? You just make sure you can see what we're doing here. Oops. I know it's a pain to get that off.
Just fold a little triangle.
Yeah. All right, so pull, we want this to be a little taut, you know what I mean? The backing paper. Let's get this released as best we can. Here, we might have to do that.
You want to roll it under?
You gotta get the release off of there.
Here, I'll hold this right
This
here.
is the hardest part of the whole job, dude, seriously. Is removing the back of paper. It's the hardest part of the whole job. All right, now let's see if we can.
Roll it back. Hold on.
Yeah, like that. See, we're not creasing the backing paper. Because there's two of us. All right, let's stop
Good.
there.
Looks good.
All right, now are you over the edge over there on the other side?
I'm about 6 inches
Over?
from the roof line.
On the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, so let's just lay it down like that. All right, just leave that alone. All right, now take the magnets off the back. Lift this up. Let's just keep going. Perfect. All right. Like I said, that is the hardest part of the whole frickin' wrapping job is getting that paper off. And I've done it by myself, and it is a pain because you got to go this side and then that side. And I mean, you can do it, but if you can have a friend come over and help you, it's way easier, right? So next thing we're gonna do is start wrapping the roof, and I'm gonna give the camera to George, and he can just walk around. It'll be better. Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do is the first thing we want to do is glass out this thing as much as possible. All right. So we got it on here, and because the wrinkles are going this direction mainly, I'm gonna pull on both sides. Okay. So we're gonna lift it up and just pull over, and this stuff like stretches like really, really easy, this Avery stuff. All right, so we pulled it over there. Don't worry about them right now. We're gonna lift up back here. Actually, what I should do, I'm gonna trim off some of this excess because we don't need this. It's just making our lives harder. So I'm gonna feel where that edge of that tape is right there. And I'm going to trim this off. I'm going to cut on my paint. I'm going to go on the other side. And you don't have to push that hard, you just got to sort of score it. Okay, so got rid of that. Let's do so the front doesn't have that much on it. All right. So I'm going to come back over here where I was doing it. I'm going to lift it up and just pull towards the corner and glass it out. See how it's like perfectly smooth? That's called glassing it out. All right. And that's what you want. And we got a little wrinkle here, so I'm going to just stick my hand up in there. And I'm going to pull. See? And I glassed it out. All right? So we got rid of those wrinkles. Don't worry about this right now. So we're going to leave that, and we're going to go to the other side. You could probably just shoot from over there if you want. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. Right, so I'm going to pull sort of like at an angle on this corner, right? See how it's glassed? I'm going to do the same thing over here like I did in the middle over there. Don't worry if you feel like you're stretching the vinyl. It's designed to do that. All right, and I'm going to pull on that sucker and glass it.
Looks good.
And I'm going to do it here. Glass it. Okay. Well, this here is going to reach up into the sunroof. You know, hold on. Yeah, just. Yeah, okay. Didn't want to do that. All right, I'll tell you what, let's leave it alone for right now. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go to the middle because we have, what do you want to call them?
Some
Folds?
wrinkles.
Wrinkles going this way, all right? So that means I want to pull this direction, and that's the same. These will come out too. So I'm going to lift this up. Get this unstuck. Actually, I might be able to pull them all the way down. Hold on 1 second here. It's sticking back there. All right, let's just clasp this one. All right, so I'm going to pull. All right, so we got that glassed.
Looks good. It's got that one little
Yeah, so
spot
now
in
let me think here. I don't want to try to push that out. Now this is air release, so wrinkles will come out. Let's see if maybe those will come out if we go slow. Not quite all the way. I'm trying to think of the best way to get in there for that. I think the best way to do that
these two
actually
spots right
would
there.
be to cut out the sunroof
Yeah, and go from the
so
center.
that I can get up in there.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll do that. So let me,
Everything else looks good.
yeah.
Just that one
Right, so-
little spot.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a lot, you know, I'm going to trim this to roll down in, but for right now, I just want to get to where I have a hole in the middle.
Let's go real conservative.
Right. Okay. Okay. Get out of there. So what I'm going to do now is see if I can lift that up and pull that. This is why you don't want to squeegee anything down until you know it's all glassed, because then it's really stuck. Okay, there we go.
Now you got it. Beautiful. Perfect.
All right, now we got a couple more little wrinkles over here, but those will.
You could probably pull that right from the
Yeah,
inside there.
We'll do it from over here. I mean, this Avery stuff is like really good for as far as wrinkles go, or as far as like being able to stretch it, but sometimes it can be a pain because it gets extra little wrinkles in it, as you just saw. Like back there, we were trying to get rid of.
You might have to go from the edge, Bill, from the
Yeah.
outside.
Hold on a second. See, I don't want to pull too hard because I cut that out in the middle.
Right. You probably want to stick it down a little bit.
You just want to get them out as best as possible because you can heat it and it'll shrink it. But I just want to try to get it out as best as possible.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks real good now.
All right, so we got rid of those.
I don't see any wrinkles.
We're glassed over here. Nothing over there?
Nope.
Oh, we got one little wrinkle here.
I mean, there.
Okay. All right. No wrinkles here, no wrinkles there. No wrinkles there. All right, looks good, right?
It looks awesome.
Okay, so now we can start squeegeeing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just go in the middle. I don't push like super hard the first time. And just go slow because the air release will let any air that's in there come out. All right, now I'm angling the squeegee towards me. That little bump is where the antenna thing is. And if you do get a little bit of air in there, it'll, when it's out in the sun, as long as it's basically, you know, glassed down, and it'll release as the sun heats it up. Because you can see there's a couple little bubbles and stuff. Your phone's not going to ring, is it? I'll tell you what, whoever thought up of this air release film
Made life a lot easier.
is a genius. See, we created a bubble there. All right, so I'm going to come over, work it towards the side. See, the bubbles seem to be coming out. Yeah, it's hard to see. Okay.
There's one right in front of your antenna, but that's
That big one.
right there. There it goes. Well, those do go away.
Yeah. The air release is awesome. All right, it's good enough for there. Don't worry so much about trying to make it perfect right now. We can go back again. Okay, so I'm gonna
So you just start from the middle, working it towards you.
Dots are.
I think it looks pretty good. So you can lay it out real well when it's stretching.
That's one thing about gloss vinyls. It shows, like satin vinyl doesn't show as much imperfections in the paint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As gloss does. But when it's not in the sun, you won't. That could be imperfections in the paint. All right, now I'm going to come over this side. All right, so I'm gonna let that alone, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start going around and trimming some more. Not the final trim, but so I'm gonna come here. What I do is I put a finger on the edge to make sure that I don't go up, you know, past where I want to go. To use as like kind of like a guide.
So you got like 2-inch overhang right now?
Yeah. Just to get some of this out of the way. It's just there for no, you know. we're not
Right.
using it for-
Get rid of the slack.
Right. There. Back. Alright, to the side real quick. So yeah, I probably should have put tape on the door like you suggested, because then I wouldn't have to, like,
Hold it up.
I wouldn't have to cut on my paint.
Why aren't you pulling it off a little bit?
Yeah, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna very lightly score it. I'm not going through the vinyl, I'm just gonna score it. So I can get some of this out of the way. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna continue squeegeeing these edges over that we didn't do before. Make sure there's no bubbles. You can see the, you know, the body line right there. Just go across it with my finger. All right, just go across the back. Sure that's good. Should actually have my gloves on. Same thing over here. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim the sides in the front and the back. All right. So what I'm gonna do now, this is it has a lip that goes down that I showed you earlier before we started. So we're gonna trim out probably like in the middle here. So we can just put it down, and then when we put the rubber back on, you won't be able to see any white because this will go underneath it. So I'm gonna get my knife.
So what are you going, about 2/3 from the roof or
I'm just like
halfway?
in the middle.
In the middle?
So I'm gonna, like I said before, I'm gonna use my finger as a guide, and it's gonna ride that edge right there. Actually, I'm gonna get my glove. Hold on one second, because my finger will slide way easier.
And these are the gloves that come in the kit.
Right. They're like scratch proof or whatever. All right, so I got that on. So I'm gonna use this finger, slide along that edge right there. And I'm just gonna, hopefully, go right along there. And just take my time, and I'm gonna try to look at the reflection of that edge to make sure I'm in the right spot. Trimming is my most nerve-wracking part. Because you never want to cut like too close or too much, because then you're screwed. All right, I'm just going to go all the way down. Like this. Trim here. So, you actually went just a little bit closer than I wanted to right there, but
Well, you can stretch that out.
yeah.
Yeah, it just falls in there perfectly now.
All right, so I'm gonna go over to the other side. I like, when I do that stuff like this, I like to do steps. I do this side, then this side, then the end, yeah, instead of jumping around and doing 9 million things. But that's just my personal preference. You do whatever way you want to. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Put my finger as a guide. Take my time. And always make sure you have a nice fresh blade. And the knife that came in this kit has those blades that snap off. So you have no excuse not to have a nice sharp edge. Man, that reflection is hard to see with this black for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, so we got that. On this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my glove off real quick. I'm going to try to lift this up off of this tape. Like we said, it lifts easier off the tape than the glass. So it ain't sticking. All right. And then I'm going to take my finger with my glove. And I'm just going to, let me see there one second. I'm just going to put my finger over this edge a little bit and go across. Not all the way in, but just a little bit. See how it's
roll it in there.
Yeah, see how it rolled over the edge just a little bit? And I'm going to go to the other side. Okay. That's straight. All right. And I'm actually going down, the way this car is, I can trim right along the edge of that windshield. I can use the windshield edge as a guide. And that should give me enough to squeegee it down in there over the edge, and it should be just right down inside there. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push down a little harder so I can feel the edge of the windshield. I don't know if you can see that with the camera or not, but you can see the edge is right there. Okay. I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to find the edge of the windshield like that. I'm going to put my other finger on the windshield.
Get on the other side.
And I'm just going to come across, pushing against the glass. So that it's a perfect line. Okay? Damn it. When that knife is in your glove, it's like really slippery. Like that. I'm gonna come over here to this side. Do the same thing. Okay. So now I'm going to get rid of this tape because we don't need it anymore. One thing you got to be careful about that I just remembered that I didn't do is when you're putting this tape on here, you want it to be like even with the edge of the window, because when you go across there and trim that, see these little strings I'm pulling out? See, I had some tape going over the edge. And we don't want that in there because when we push this film down, you know, over it, when we want it to stick in there, we don't want tape stuck underneath the bottom edge of it. So luckily that came right out of there. See if we got any over there.
So you gonna finish that front edge, or?
Yeah, but I want to make sure there's no tape stuck under it first. Get rid of this. Grab my little pick so I can look under there. Yeah, see?
Hold on, let me get over there.
I had tape going over the edge of the windshield, see? See?
Mm-hmm.
And when I trimmed it,
Fell in.
it cut tape, it cut the tape and left that in there. And we do not want that underneath there when we're trying to get this to stick. You know what I mean? That tape will be underneath the film and it's not going to adhere because you got a layer of tape in there. So we're just going to take a quick look.
That should be it.
So let's make sure. Oh, see?
Oh, yeah.
So you're learning something here because of my F up. There you go. Okay, you learned something very important. Don't do that. Make sure the tape is at, maybe even bring it down like, you know, 1/8 of an inch below the edge of the windshield. That way when you bring your razor blade across there, it won't. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is just grab my glove again. And I'm just gonna, you know, just stick my finger there and push this down a little bit. This isn't the final seal here, but I just want to get it down on that edge a little bit further. Okay. So I'm just gonna do that there.
Using the glove as the squeegee.
Yeah, because it slides real easy and it won't, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go across here and just wrap it around that edge a wee little bit. We're gonna use the squeegee to push down on there. That's a chip in the paint. I remember that. Okay, so we're gonna leave that alone. Now we're gonna do the back. And I actually think what I might do on the back is just get rid of this tape first, because I don't want to go through that again. Because I probably did the same thing on the back that I did on the front. So it'll be fine.
Oh yeah, there's tape under there.
Well, I know there's tape under here, but did I go over the edge of the window
Oh.
like I did on the front? That's what I'm concerned about, because I don't want to have to be trying to peel it out, you know, out from underneath there again like I did on the front.
Boy, you haven't cut it yet, right?
What?
The film, so there won't be tape under there.
No, there won't, because I'm pulling it out. But if I
Right.
didn't pull it out, I probably could have the same thing happen that happened
Right.
in the front. So I'm gonna-
We're good now.
All right, so I'm just gonna pull this down again. Sort of stick it to the window a little bit. Just take my glove again. Just go across there like we did up in the front before we trimmed it. What we're going to do next is we're just going to sort of go along here before I push that down. The glove, just sort of push that over the edge. No wrinkles, don't want any wrinkles in there if possible. Best way to do it is do a little bit and then come back and do a little more, and do a little bit and do a little bit more, rather than putting your finger like all the way down at once. Okay. And I can see right here I got some air under there, so I'm gonna grab. I have to lift that up here. Okay. This. I'm gonna lift this up a little bit. And squeeze it down. So that there's no bubbles in that corner or in that edge, you know what I mean?
And rubber trim's gonna set that up though, right?
Right, but I don't want if you don't have it adhering to the paint right here,
Yeah.
later on it's going to
It'll
lift because it's going to bridge it. You don't want it to bridge because if it bridges, probably should have done this before I used my finger across there actually. I don't do this for a living, people. I'm not a professional rapper. If I was, I probably would have been done half an hour ago. But I'm trying to show you enough that you could do it yourself and get a good job. Okay, that seems to be down in there. Let's do the front. And we'll come back when we do this on the other side. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat these corners so it shrinks down in, okay? So if you come over here, see if you can, how close can you get there? You can see how this is like sticking out right there. So when we heat that, it's gonna shrink like right around that corner, or at least it should. And we don't wanna like go crazy, you know, to get like super, super close. You see how it like wrapped itself around that corner? On its own.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you tried to wrap around that while it was cold, it would wrinkle on that corner there, because there'd be excess film. So when you heat it, it shrinks it around the corner. Let's go back to this one. Same thing here. See how nice that went around that corner? Grab my little miniature squeegee. I'm stuck on the rubber there. All right, so now we're going to trim out around this sunroof, and then we're going to wrap it around on the edge, okay? So what I'm going to do, I want to make sure I have enough to cover that white if possible. I mean, I can always go back in and touch it up with some black paint, like on the bottom lip, because that lip's pretty wide. So what I'm going to do is try to, I want to use my finger as a guide again. You know what I mean? So I have it straight. So
Get over here.
I'll start here as far as I can reach. Use my finger as a guide. Take my time. Come around. Let's get rid of this. In order to use my finger as a guide, I need to be on the, I'm right-handed, so I gotta figure out how to do this. see. I'll use my index finger if I can on this part. Around. Let's pull out on this. You probably can't see what I'm doing over here, but right?
Just lining it up, right? Matching it up.
Yeah, I'm just cutting the same, using my finger as a guide and trying to keep it as straight as possible. I'm just pulling out on it a little bit because it's laying down now because it's not connected on the front and the back, you know? I'm just trying to come out on it a little bit. All right. I'll come over here. Around. If you mess up on this lip, it's not the end of the world because it's down inside the sunroof, but I like to try to make it as easy as possible. All right, got that out. Now what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna just take my thumb and just sort of like going over that, just barely going over that lip. Stretch it around the back here. Same thing here. Work my way, work it down. I'm just going to stretch this. And same thing on the side. It's better to do the middle part first and then do the corners whenever you're wrapping. I don't know why, but okay, now the lip is thicker in the front than it is in the back, so I'll probably have to tuck some of that around. All right, so let's do these ones. Now I need my glove switched again. I should have a glove on each hand, actually.
We only give you one glove?
No, I got two, but I didn't know where the other one was. I'm about to grab it here in about 2 seconds. Okay. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna heat these corners so it stretches and I can push it down in there. Just gonna warm it up a little bit. Stay there. All right. I'm just gonna get that a little bit warm. Okay, see up here. Be careful because you can heat it too much and it'll, when you're dragging your glove on it, it'll actually like dig into the vinyl. Alright, so we got all those wrapped around. So what I'll do last is I'll just take my knife and I'll just go along that bottom edge and trim that off. Alright, so what I did was I took my hacksaw blades I had in there that were holding this down out so I could wrap the film around the bottom edge real good in the corners. And then back here we're under the edge. And I think rather than trimming like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a couple little slices in the film in this corner just to release the tension. And I'm just going to try to wrap it around like so, so that I don't have to, that way we'll be sure that we won't have any white showing. So I'm just going to cut it up to the close as I can. It should go around there with the squeegee. Alright, so basically just do that. Just make sure you get everything fitting under. You want it to wrap around if possible, because then it won't, as it cures, you know, over the years, it won't start coming up and you won't see the different colors. So if you can wrap it around, that's the best way to do it. But if you can't, that's no big deal. And if you see the color of your car showing, just get yourself a spray balm of black and just take a little brush and just go along where the color's showing, and you'll be good to go. Alright? Alright, so I wanted to make a video showing the final product. Got my shark fin antenna on there. Looking pretty good. And once this is out in the sun for a while, it will, any little tiny air bubbles that are still in there will just come right out. Okay? So that's it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're going to be putting out a lot more videos on how to do some cool stuff like this. Alright, so thanks for watching this video on Excellent Car Mods. I'll talk to you later.